This is 911. State your emergency. Hello? I can't help you if I don't know where you're at, honey. Where are you at? Where are you? I need as many units as I can get for Fairfield Road. Give me the numbers.
911, what's your emergency?
Hey friends, it's Fletch. I'm Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Welcome to this new podcast series, Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. Brought to you by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 services for the enterprise today and making every second count. In this series, we're going to be talking to ENPs that have been on the job for years, as well as those brand new ENPs that have just passed the test. We'll dig in and have an in-depth conversation and find out what the ENP certification means to them. We'll talk about why they did it, what it means for their career, and what they did to pass the exam. Industry certifications are important to industry professionals, and the ENP certification is one that's admired by many in public safety. So join me as we find out exactly what makes an ENP tick in this off-the-cuff podcast series, Confessions of an ENP. Hey, it's Fletch. Welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff, True Confessions of an ENP. Today we're sitting down with Angie Martin, who is out in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, out in Crawford County. How are you, Angie? Thanks for joining us today.
Pretty good. Beautiful day so far.
So you just got your ENP. You've been dispatching for what, about 6 years, you said?
Yes.
What drove you to get your ENP after 6 years?
I just like to continue to better myself. I always want to be better, but not better than anyone else, but better than me yesterday. So I just
that's
kept,
cool.
Yeah. So I do the webinars and the conferences and as much as I can do. And I kind of peeked up ENP on cruising NENA's website and looked into it and panicked a little bit, but said, yes, I can do this. I'm doing it. So
I've heard that a lot. So people go, you know what? I can do this. I can better myself here. So what made you get into public safety and dispatch? What drove you to that direction?
I am from a family of emergency responders.
Yep.
Public safety. Grew up around firemen, EMS. My dad was the fire chief for our volunteer department for darn near 40 years.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of traffic in and out, firemen and officers and this and that. He was the emergency management for 13 years before he passed away. And so I've always had that kind of drive, to help people. But I learned early on that I'm probably not the best person to be on scene. So I had to kind of go a different route. So with being such a small county, we didn't want any nepotism or anything like that with him, holding that position and whatever. So I had to wait till he retired, and then I went into dispatch. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so he was my biggest fan and my biggest critic because he'd be there listening to the radio all night. Really? So yeah,
Angie, you did that wrong.
Exactly. Are you kidding me? But he was great. He was my biggest cheerleader. So
after 40 years in the industry, I don't think he said, "Are you kidding me?" I think there were a couple other adjectives in there, probably.
Maybe.
I'm just guessing.
Maybe. Perhaps,
yeah. I could hear that in the back of my head for some reason.
Yes. Our morning cups of coffee were interesting, to say the least.
So you work night shifts. You're a night bird. I love it. You know what? Night shifts were my favorite because, number one, all the crazies came out. So it made the job interesting. But it's, for me at least, when I was working after 2:00, there was the 2:00 bar rush. And then once the town was put to bed, you had about 4 hours to relax.
Yep, you got about 2.5 because then the morning commute starts.
Yep.
So depending on what day it is, if it's Sunday, Saturday night bar rush into Sunday, you got a pretty good window before people get up and start going to church. But during the week, it's the 4:30 commute starts. And
See, I had these big long glass windows in front of the desk in the building I was in. And it was also the commuter stop for the bus going to New York City. So I
Oh my
used to have
goodness.
20, 30 people lined up out front,
Oh my goodness.
starting at like 4:30 in the morning. And it was like, okay, I'll put the damn tie back on, and look all prim and proper. And, it's like the commuters are here. The horseplay's got to stop.
Yep. Put your shoes back on.
Put
Get
your
your feet
shoes
off the
back on.
desk.
Put your shirt back on.
Well,
It was,
funny.
I always said if YouTube and iPhones and Androids existed back then, I'd probably still be in jail.
Yep, we'd be in a little bit of trouble probably.
But we put on a nice show for the commuters.
So
So
that's probably the only reason they commuted.
Why did you go into dispatch? Was it just that you had that much exposure to it?
I think so. Just the way life kind of dealt it, I guess. Like it was the perfect storm, I think, at that time that the position was coming open. I was ending a chapter of my life over here, and it just seemed like, my dad had just retired. It was just a natural progression. Before, years ago, you had to wait for somebody to die or retire.
Tell me about it.
Dispatch. And so the fact that a position even came open, and it was part-time, and I'm like, okay, well, let's get in there and get moving here and get the ball rolling. And things just fell together. God's got a plan, I guess, because it just fell right into place. So
yeah. I wanted to work on the road, and I took the civil service test, and I came out number 1 on the civil service exam.
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah, baby. And then it was like, what? How old are you? How old are you? How long have you been here? Weren't you arguing with your wife?
Oh no!
Don't you have weapons in the house? It's like, I'm figuring out, okay, which one of these guys? And it was like nobody. And I'm like, this is just never. I'm gonna die before I get hired here. And I just decided to go into technology. And then right away, because I had 5 years experience in public safety, I started working on technology for public safety. So I at least stayed close to it over the years. And then as time went on, oh God, for the past 20 years, I've been dealing really in deep with public safety and technology. So, that was, I think, again, there's a plan, right?
Exactly.
Somebody's got a big plan. Because I don't know if I would have made a good cop or not.
I definitely would not have.
I probably have too much of a temper, to be honest.
Yes. I would have been fired quite quickly. I have officers that come in and dispatch, and they'll talk about this call or that call. I'm like, nope, one more reason I couldn't do it. It's another reason I couldn't do it. No way.
I mean, I liked it because I was part-time on the road, and I did get a lot of road experience.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cool. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I got enough to make it interesting, but not quite enough to make it. So I'm gonna get busted here. But well, let's see what happens. But I tell you, when you sat down, probably after the first couple of shifts, when did the bug bite you? Right away?
Oh, almost immediately.
Yeah.
Almost immediately. It was once I got comfortable. Oh, dog toy. Sorry. Bring here. Okay.
I hear a squeaky toy.
Yes. Of all the stuff he had to pick. No,
that's okay, because my cat will come in here and he'll stand in front of the camera, but he won't show you his face. He'll show you the other side and go, here, look at this.
Nice.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
No, it was pretty immediate. Once I got comfortable in what I was doing, kind of got through the training and, didn't bite all my nails off anymore. Then it was like, let her rip. Here we go. We got this. And I think it helped me a little bit more because a lot of my responders are family. And if they're not blood family, they're like family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that protection, I got you guys. Like, don't worry, I got you.
Yep.
And that's kind of stuck with me quite a bit. And there's been situations where it's you and me, man. It's you and me. We got this. And it worked out swimmingly, and it just works. It just works. I don't know. I could talk about dispatch forever. It just gets me so excited. So,
There's that bond and that brotherhood. There was one guy I used to work with. His name was Joe, and I didn't not get along with him, but we were just never close, and we never connected for any particular reason. And one fall, we go out on a whitewater rafting trip down the Delaware, and I end up in the raft right next to Joe. And we go through and we hit this big rock and the boat flips. And I grabbed his vest and I pulled him back in before he fell out. And it was just instinctive, right?
Yeah.
And from that day forward, we were like best friends. And it was like, he was like almost protective of me.
Yeah.
It's like, it was weird. I never felt that from him before. And he was a big Harley rider. Nobody could touch his Harley. And one day I had a bike. I had a Yamaha. It wasn't a crotch rocket, but it was, it was a Shadow. It was like the Shadow. Shadow
Nice.
was Honda. But he goes, "Oh, you want to try and ride my Goldwing?" And everybody was. I had 2 shifts standing there at shift change, going, "Did he just say, do you want to ride my motorcycle?" And I took it to the end of the parking lot and came back, and I was sweating like crazy. Please don't let me dump this stupid thing.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun." Whew, thank God. And everybody is standing there like, "Did that just happen?"
Nice. Nice.
That's why I loved public safety. And it's funny when I go back today, for people that were still around that I knew, that same feeling is still there.
Yep.
It's the best way to describe it is, I got you.
Yep. And those are the best connections. When you connect with somebody at that level, because you went through the shitstorm together, it's unbreakable.
Yep.
You're like brother and sister, and you're gonna bicker and fight and irritate the crap out of each other. But that bond is still there. Like it's still there, and you can't train that. You can't explain that.
Yep.
You just know it when it's there.
And sometimes it takes a whitewater raft on the Delaware to trigger
Exactly.
But it's there, right? It's there. It's really interesting. When you get into a smaller, close-knit department like yours, the squads all hang out with each other. The families all hang out with each other. It gets very, very personal. Arguments do happen, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it gets a little dicey. Have you ever had anything that you weren't able to handle that escalated out?
In the recent past,
it happens.
It's personality differences, and you do your best to work through it, because you gotta work together. It's not like you can run and hide somewhere. You're gonna have to interact, and when it comes down to the brass tacks, you better work together well. And so you've got to figure out how to get past that. And I've had one situation where I needed some external intervention, I guess, or upper intervention. And it is what it is. And we've moved on, and life is good. And we go again.
Yep.
So we'll probably irritate the crap out of each other another time down the road. And, we've got a little bit better relationship to figure it out and go from there. So,
the scary part about it is, emotions will escalate, and thank God that level of professionalism is there, because everybody's walking around with a weapon strapped to their side. And
yes,
it could go south very quickly. And
yes.
it just shows you the fact that it doesn't on a regular basis, just shows you the level of professionalism there all across the entire department. I don't care what you're doing, right? If you're a jailer, if you're on the road, if you're a dispatcher, if you're a special, whatever,
right.
that level of respect is there. How do they treat the dispatchers, the guys on the road? Do they look down on you, or do they give you a little respect?
there's some respect there. I think there's mutual respect.
Do they realize that you can make their lives freaking a nightmare?
Uh, perhaps. It's, how do I want to explain it? I don't know if it's just my experience. I want to say it's dispatch wide. I'm pretty optimistic that it's not just me. A lot of us are open to the constructive criticism, the back and forth conversations. You got a crap call. I'm not perfect by any means. So if the deputies get a chance to come in, or officers get a chance to come in after and kind of give us a little bit of closure, we hash it out. Man, I totally messed that up. Sorry about this, or I missed that radio traffic. It would have went better if this happened. And they do the same thing. They come in and be like, oh, I totally, this, that, my radio fell off, or, this, that, or the other thing. And I wish this would have happened. But they're in dispatch enough. They're like, well, how come you did it this way? Or how come you said it like this? Mm-hmm. Or how did you know that? Or kind of back and forth. And it's like, why do you guys do that? Do they train that in the academy? Like, that's ridiculous. And so we go back and forth and be like, oh, would it be easier if I did it like this? Well, yeah. Oh, that would be perfect. Well, what about if we had, this on our radios, or that? Or so we can hash out the bad calls and kind of brainstorm to make not only the next one better, but the department better. And so that's been really nice. Having enough of those dispatch had my back moments,
right,
has made a big difference for some of them. And it took that to get them to realize, hey, dispatch is part of the team. Like, we do need them. Like, we do need to be nice to them, and we do need them.
Yes.
So, and we have to reciprocate that too. We're not better than them. They're not better than us. We're a team, and we all have our place on the team. And if you carry yourself like that, and put that expectation out there, for me, it seems to have worked really well. And we've got great higher ups that really have been supporting dispatch and including dispatch and making dispatch part of the team. So we've got great support too, which is really nice.
So out of your dispatch crew, is someone a leader of that group?
Yep. We have a lead dispatcher. I believe she hit 20 years this year.
Okay.
So yeah, she's fantastic. She's fantastic. So
she doesn't say that about you, by the way.
Well, it happens. It happens.
In fact, I got a whole list that I might not have time to get to, but
well, there's a reason I work nights by myself, I guess.
There you go. Now that's good, because you do need somebody kind of setting the pace. We had seniority when I was working, but the lead dispatcher never really took a lead as anything more than I'm above everybody else.
Oh,
and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's just, okay, I'm dispatcher 1, you're 2, 3, 4, etc. We had 4 on the whole team. But, it was, I would have liked to have seen it take more of a management responsibility to kind of direct what's going on, because everybody did things a little bit differently. There could have been more organization there.
Yeah.
But again, I think this whole industry has grown up in the past 10 years because of the technology that's available. It had
for
to.
Sure.
It had to. So you ever get the opportunity to go out on a ride along?
We're supposed to. That's part of, I think that's completely beneficial. I have had it scheduled multiple times. Initially when I first started, and things just kept coming up, the deputy's grandma died. So that was that. And then the deputy forgot me one time. And then, I don't know. It just never, ever worked out. So yeah, but when I put, some of the training stuff together, like it's in there to do a ride along at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of training, because you take in different things. So, and I don't know, now the relationships I got with my guys, maybe they're like, you are not getting in my squad. We are good. Like, I will just tell you how it goes, and that's enough.
Well, I think on the flip side, they should also do a sit along with you.
And a lot of them have two of them, 2.5 of them, I want to say, are
Was it the upper half or the lower half of them?
That's kind of weird. The upper half. We'll take the brains.
Because then he could listen at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a part-timer that traffic that is kind of full-time temporarily. But
Gotcha.
anyway, so there's a few of them that have wanted to train in dispatch. And so they've sat in and trained. There's a couple of them that fill shifts for us part-time. So there was a lot of, I didn't know you guys did that. I didn't know you guys did that. You guys can do what? So it's really nice. It's really nice.
Well, yeah, a lot of people think, well, you're on the road, you're a cop, you should be able to dispatch. Thinking, not understanding that is way different and it's all part of the same event, but it is a way different scenario.
Yes.
And you brought it up before. How did you know things, right? You can hear the tone of the caller. You can interpret that. You get the little hairs on the back of your neck, that stand up. You can hear background noises. You can hear dishes breaking, dogs barking, squeaky toys. It doesn't matter, right? Kids crying. There is a lot that is there that is contextual in the audio behind the call, especially if it's a butt dial.
Right. I listen like I'm an FBI surveillance fan.
Yeah, there you go.
Butt dials. I'm ready.
My boss on the weekends, I don't know what he does, and I've told him 100 times. I said, you butt dial me every single weekend, and I'll sit there and I'll listen for a half hour trying to figure out what the hell he's doing.
Nice.
One time, I didn't know what he was doing. I actually saved it and recorded it. I'm like, what were you doing here? And he's like, I was chopping wood. I'm like, it doesn't sound like chopping wood, because all I'm hearing is, hoof, hoof.
Oh, no.
I'm like, come on, dude. Give me a break.
You got to come up with a better story than that, man. Chopping wood.
Chopping wood. Okay.
Oh, geez.
That's too much. That is too much. So where do you think you're going to go in this career? Do you think you're going to stay what you're doing? You're going to hang out here? Is this your life, or are you planning on something different?
I don't know. And that's what, with the ENP, I think that opens up so many doors that I don't even know are there yet. Right now, I'm just your, run-of-the-mill dispatcher, not in a leadership position in any fashion. I don't know. I really
are there other ENPs in your agency?
There is not.
Then you are in a leadership position.
Well, okay. Yes.
Okay, you're an ENP.
Agreed.
You're an emergency number professional. It's up to you to set the bar.
Agreed. I'm fresh, so I have to figure out what this EMP all means.
Yeah.
Not only for me, but for my center and for 911 in general. So
let me ask you: Did your center pay for your EMP?
No.
That's where you start, right there.
My center didn't know I was doing it.
Okay. Why?
So that was me.
That was on you.
That was totally me. So my director is on the Wisconsin NENA board. So she's well aware of EMP and what EMP means, and what it takes to get an EMP. And she is crazy supportive for training and whatever we need to better ourselves. She is fully on board, has it in her budget, completely supportive, all of that. So, why wouldn't you go to her? That would be excellent, right?
Sure.
But what if I disappoint her? What if I fail?
Oh, well.
What if I fail? What if I use the center's money and I fail? somebody else could have used that money to better themselves, and I took that away. What if I fail? I disappointed not only me, but I disappointed her and my center in general. So if I put out my own cash, then it's on me.
At least think about a reimbursement program then.
Right. And I can talk to her. We haven't dove into it too much detail, but
you want me to call her?
I could call her right now, actually. She was the first person I called when I got that preliminary pass. Actually, I did a screenshot of my phone and said, "Hey, how's your day going? Here's how mine's going." And I sent her a picture of it. She was actually on her way, because then my phone rings. She's on her way to a NENA training to prepare for NENA training the next day. And she pulled her car over and said, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Like, I had no idea. But yeah, that was kind of for my own protection. It was for my own responsibility. I had to take full responsibility for this. I set the day, which with or the timing of the training or the testing. So I knew what my testing window was. I had to set my deadline. It was my money. It was my focus. It was me and only me. And I had to do it. And if I failed, I got nobody to blame but me. If I passed, I can't say this because that's not true in the grander scheme of things, as I went through all of the trainings and study groups and stuff and my friends. And I can't say it was just me. If I passed, it's everybody. But if I failed, it was solely on me. So,
you know what I love about doing these podcasts? You're a hardened, hardcore dispatcher. I mean, we had a chat before this that was probably not even airable, but you're your typical public safety, hardcore, hard hitting, but there's that soft, squishy side inside as well. And that I love it when that comes out after the big hard candy shell is broken down a little bit, because everybody is a person inside and everybody's got feelings, and you can't do this job without it. But get past that. And now that you're through it, I understand why you did that. And those are perfectly good reasons. But now be the light for everybody else and go, okay, this is what I did. I want my money back, first of all. And then I want a program to put together to get this person, this person, this person, this person through this. And this is going to be part of our annual budget. And we're doing this.
Yep, we're gonna have to be the driving force for sure.
Well, that you're gonna have to be the driving force.
I will be the driving force. Well, it was kind of cool because when so I'm nervous for this whole 8 weeks. I'm like, I'm gonna be that person that got the preliminary pass and it was some sort of computer glitch, and I'm gonna get this email down the road that says, "Nope, just kidding, haha." But I came into work one night and it was my lead dispatcher and another dispatcher that's been there for 10 years-ish, whatever. And I didn't tell anybody that I was doing it kind of initially. A couple of my deputies knew, some of my shift mates knew in the jail. They kind of helped quiz me a little bit. But I'd come in with these 3-ring binders of stuff and I'd be studying my entire shift and like, what are you doing? So I kind of had to sneak it in a little bit and be like, okay, just be quiet, whatever.
Right.
So I didn't think that these two, my lead dispatcher or this fellow dispatcher, knew anything about it. But I came into work and they're both just sitting in their chairs and they can't hardly contain themselves. And they're like, "You got a box. You got a box. You got a box." And I'm like, "I did." I'm like, "Oh, great. That's awesome." And I was thinking maybe it was like an Amazon box, like it was a brown box, like whatever. Oh no, nope. The big blue NENA ENP.
Yep.
And so whether they knew what
we did a lot of work on that I didn't do anything with the packaging, but we had people on the NENA Institute board work on that packaging and the presentation to make that special.
Yes.
My idea was exploding to confetti and they wouldn't go for that. But what are you gonna do?
So so they were just like, it was Christmas morning for them also. And I don't know. It's not something that that I guess we've ever really talked about what an EMP or all of the other different more managerial, director, supervisory certifications and stuff. I didn't know if they knew what it was, but the way they were wiggling in their chairs and so excited for me, they either knew what it was or they figured it out.
Yeah.
And whatever. So they were just as excited for me to open that box and pull that certificate out. And yeah, it was hard to wipe the smile off my face for quite a while. So
nice.
So
well,
it's pretty awesome.
Every candle that'll burn for hours starts with a match. And
there you go.
And you're that match. And did I just call you a flaming? No, never mind.
We'll disregard.
Disregard. It's funny. I still say that all the time. And it's like people look at me funny. Disregard. Why do you say that? That's not a normal word. I'm like, no, some things are just in your head. They never leave.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It is a good analogy. We might want to tweak the wording a little. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So that's fantastic though. I mean, you've accomplished something. What did you do for studies? Did you go to the study groups?
I did. So
What did you do?
So I did Tracy's.
Bad move.
I know, it was horrible. I did Tracy's. I did Mission
She talks shit about me too, so I'm allowed.
I did Mission Critical, and I did Texas NENA.
Good for you.
So 3 days a week for an hour to 2 hours every week on each of those. So roughly 3 to 6 hours every week on a study
it's a lot to learn.
It is. And then I replayed them, and then I printed out stuff, and then they had the, different quizzes, and then they had the diagrams, and they had this and they had that. And so I'd go through that. I have 3-ring binders, probably 2 of them, at least packed full of stuff. And I just read and read and read and read. And
did you get the book of knowledge?
I did. Absolutely.
Okay. Did you like the diagrams in there?
I know that you had a hand in doing them, so I don't know how to answer.
You can tell me no. That's fine.
The hardest part.
If they need to be better, then I'll make them better.
Well, the hardest part for me was the telephony part.
Okay.
The telephony technology. I don't know why. It's like end office.
A lot of people have a problem.
Central office.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing in this router and that, and who talks to what now? And so looking at the diagrams, like I could read it maybe and understand it a little bit better. And then I'd look at the diagram and be like, I'm pretty sure that's not what I read. Like, what is happening here? And so then each of the study groups had their kind of diagrams and their, person talk about it and whatever. I'm like, oh, I think I get it now. I think I get it. And then I'd go back and look at their diagrams and be like, nope, just kidding. I don't. Son of a gun. And so it was like 3 weeks before my test date. And I'm part of multiple dispatch Facebook groups. And somebody had popped up a diagram for the telephony stuff and said, hey, anybody else want to use this? Here you go.
Oh, that was Kristen.
Yes. And she did an off the cuff here just a little bit ago, didn't she?
Yeah. No, she worked on that. She gave that to me, and I moved a few lines back around, and she came up with a very good diagram.
And she said, well, I went back and forth and got approval, and this is right, and made sure it was correct and all this stuff. And anybody who wants this diagram, take this. And I don't know what it was about that diagram, but I was like, holy moly, I think I got it.
You know what? Why that diagram worked? Because she had no idea what she was drawing, but she just took what was in her head and she put it on paper. And she goes, is this right? I go, well, this is almost right, but here's why it's wrong. Let me move a couple lines. Let me put a couple things in here. Oh, I understand why that's wrong. So now that knowledge went in her head. So then when she drew it, it was from, I hate the term layman, but it's from a layman's term.
Right.
She had no telephony background and just drew it so it makes sense to everybody. When I draw it, an engineer will go, well, that's a very good drawing, Mr. Fletcher. But regular people will go, I don't get it.
Right. And so for whatever reason that clicked, I'm like, okay, good. I get it. So then I had to kind of put it in
Kristen
into
needs to redo all diagrams. I'll let her know.
into like my town or my county. Okay, this right here is an end office because it works for just this area, but it's got a connection to the central office, which is in this bigger town, which is right there. And so that's kind of an end office for those people in that town, but it's a big central office for everyone. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm sitting in the test going, is this Eastman or is this Perdesheen or is this, Steuben or like, so I'm putting it together kind of that way. That was still my toughest. I
know those questions. I look at them every year. I pick out of that group and I always pick the tough ones, and you got to draw the network out.
Yep.
And then it will make perfect sense. You draw the things out, you connect the lines, the outage is here. Oh, okay. Well, if that's there, I can see what the answer is. Right. So they're very difficult questions, but the answer is in the drawing that you make.
Yep. And then
it's very simple.
For all of Tracy's, horrible study group videos. I had 2-hour drive to get to my testing center. And so I listened to Tracy yammer about that telephony stuff all the way there. I'm like, this will sink in. It will sink in. I will get this. I do understand.
And she takes the most obtuse explanation of an apple tree or something, but and this is how it works here. Well,
yeah.
I guess that's right. Yeah.
So trying to take all of the perspectives and all of the different connections and put them all together to where it would somehow fit in my brain. I guess it worked. It did.
And now, you know what?
What?
You're an ENP. And now you know why you're an ENP. Because you were able to absorb all that.
Yep.
And that's why every other ENP on this planet, all 2,000 of them, will sit down and they got your back now.
Yep. That's awesome.
Because we know with those letters behind your name, we know what you went through.
Yeah.
It's really just a big support group for beaten souls.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's exciting. It's very exciting.
No, that's cool. Well, great. Well, look, I hope this really helps your career. If you need any help talking to your management to get programs started, I am all about that, enabling you going forward. That's why I'm on the NENA Institute board, so we can make things happen.
And I got Julie on the state NENA board, so she rocks. So
great, fantastic. You got all the connections you need.
Well, you can always use more, can't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just gotta go to work every day and not get arrested.
Well,
that's your job. That's your job now going forward. I'm too important. I can't get arrested now.
Yeah, right.
Before it would have been just another cool story. So.
Oh, geez.
But anyway, all right, Angie. Well, listen, thanks so much for sitting down. Congratulations on your ENP. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, which was yesterday when we were recording this.
Yes,
I can't stand up because I'm like 9 sizes too big. But
thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it was great. I'm glad you're feeling better. We were supposed to do this last week.
Yes. I've got 2 Thanksgivings yet to go over the weekend, so I will be.
So I got your email. It's like, oh, I'm not feeling well. I got a stomach ache, and I'm like, she's chickening out.
No way.
And then that's what I first thought. I'm like, oh, someone got cold feet.
No.
And then I got your email yesterday or day before yesterday, and it's like, let's do this. Or actually, I got it this morning, I think.
Oh.
I'm ready to do it. Let's go.
Yeah, I went back to work last night. I called in sick one night. So
that's right. I got your email at 3:00 in the morning.
Yes, because that's when it started. So I was at work and I'm like, this is not good. This is really not good. And so I happen to have a deputy that was working part-time in there. And I was like, hey, I gotta go. I'll be right back. And he's like, that's not like you. What the heck? Okay. So off I went, and by noon that I slept for a little bit when I got home. And then by noon, I was like, guys, see if you can fill my shift. And that would be really great. They're like, wait, what? Angie said, what? I'm like, yeah. So I went back last night and I was like, okay, I'm starting to kind of get an appetite back and whatever. I'm like, come on, Fletch, let's do this. Well,
yeah, no, I got your email this morning. I got your email. I read it at like 7:00 when I got up, but I saw I'd come in on the overnight, like at 3. And I'm like, okay, you want to do this today? Let's go.
Yeah.
And I was psyched because I thought you got cold feet.
Nope, I'm crazy nervous. I don't know.
Now that I met you, I figured there's no way you would have gotten cold feet. But not having met you before, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Crazy nervous. Hopefully you couldn't tell that, but
no, that's
fun. It was nice to meet you. And
it's great meeting you. I hope to catch up with you at conference one day somewhere.
For sure.
And like I said, if you need any help doing anything, it's ENP related, give me a call. You got my contact info. But thanks for sitting down. You've really opened up eyes to a lot of stuff today, and I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great day, sis.
See you later.
All righty. Take care. Well, that wraps up this episode of Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. I'm Mark Fletcher, ENP, and I'm the Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Off the Cuff is sponsored by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 solutions to the enterprise today and making every second count. Visit them on the web at 911inform.com. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Fletch911. Check out all my blogs and podcasts at Fletch.tv. And be sure to like and subscribe below. That way you'll be immediately notified whenever a new podcast is published. Thanks so much for listening. If you're in public safety, thanks for what you do. Take care and have a great day.